Here now is Matt Austin and Ginger Gadsden with Florida's Fourth Estate. Sponsored by Light Orlando, delivering hope together.
Hey, welcome to another great edition of Florida's Fourth Estate. Florida is known really for three things, okay? Oranges, Disney World, and we got some fiery sheriffs around here. And when Ginger and I think about some of the most interesting people in this state, and we think about our sheriffs, there's one that just calls to us.
You came to the wrong county.
And what you have is a bunch of cowardly scumbags.
This guy's a complete scumbag.
Get them one-on-one, they'll cry for their mother.
Ginger, I mean, every time he shows up on the news, we're just like, we know this is going to be fascinating.
We're like, I'm listening.
Yes, we start eating our popcorn.
You know you're going to hear something. Of course, we are talking about Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood, who is beloved in this community by so many people. Sheriff Chitwood, thank you for making time for us, because as people are about to learn who don't already know about you, you're a very busy man. So the fact that you're sitting down and making time for us, and who knows what will happen during this conversation. I've seen you do a phone interview where you then got involved in a shootout, but that's for later on in this podcast.
We don't have to do a shootout during this episode, but if you feel the need, we can make it happen.
They have me in an enclosed office with both doors
You
closed.
can't get out.
I'm held captive. I can't go out.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for being with us today. Can you just give us a little, because I feel like we know you, Sheriff Chitwood, as the lawman, but I don't know Sheriff Chitwood. I don't know Mike Chitwood like the kid. How did you grow up? What kind of kid were you?
I was born and raised in South Philadelphia in a very ethnic neighborhood, predominantly Irish, Italian, Catholic. Went to Catholic grade school, went to a private Jesuit-run Catholic high school. Was the son of a police officer. My mom was a receptionist at a doctor's office. I was a sports junkie and a gym rat. I had a younger sister who I practiced on. I practiced tackling her in football season. I practiced posting her up in basketball season. And I practiced my curveball on her, which when it didn't curve, I normally drilled her.
Okay, I was going to ask you if you were a good kid or a not so great kid. I think I kind of know the answer if you're practicing your curveballs on your sister.
I will tell you, I was mischievous is probably an understatement, but I knew where the line was, because corporal punishment was part of growing up, and if you stepped across that line, you could rest assured. I was introduced to the garrison belt at a very young age, and that's the belt that we all wear around our waist that holds our guns in place. So, yeah.
Oh, I was a belt kid too. Oh yeah, that was my punishment. That's why I stayed on the straight and narrow. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So
first you dealt with mom, and mom's Italian temper, and that was enough to deal with. And then it was like the old show, wait till your father gets home, and that was round two.
Oh man, I had an Italian mom and the belt. I feel like I'm hearing about my childhood.
Oh, listen, you two don't have black parents. I'm just
Hey, you don't know that. You don't know that.
So listen, and I will bet you, and I'm going to see. Well, I can't wait to hear what her answer is on this. My maternal grandmother had a thing called the Caddy Nine Tails. It was a wooden stick with 9 leather straps nailed into it. And if you were bad, my grandmother would chase us around at the dining room table to get us. And if my mother or my aunt got a hold of it, if we were bad, they used it as well.
Man.
Oh no, we had to go get our own switches, which was another story. So that's
you had to pick the switch. I had to pick the belt. That was the worst part of the whole thing. It was like, oh god, I'd come out with a little string and be like, "Here you go, Dad." That's a shoelace. All right, we digress. So, Sheriff, what got you into policing? What made you say that this? I mean, clearly your dad. Was it your dad who was a big influence on you, and that's why you did it?
So all I ever really grew up with knew was police work. So as a kid, my father was my hero, and I wanted to be just like him. As a teenager, I discovered that cops were assholes, and my father was my father. Am I allowed to say that? Or
you are. Do it.
Yeah.
And my father was the Antichrist. So in high school, and then when my college career went up in flames, we can talk about that a little later. My first trip through college, really didn't see eye to eye with him. I got married young, had a couple daughters, was working on the docks in Philadelphia, and I realized there's got to be more to life than this. The money's great, but this is like mind-numbing work. And I slowly gravitated toward police work. And then at the age of 23, I got hired by the Philadelphia Police Department. I walked through the doors of that academy, and I knew that first day I belonged, and this is what I was going to do with the rest of my life.
And, you are known for being a fair person. And is it that experience with you saying that police officers were, the A word, or jackwagons is what I like to call people who don't behave properly? Yeah. When was that your influence to making sure that when you are in that position, that you're not going to be that way? Because it seems you really are very fair.
I think sports played a big role in that, because Philadelphia is obviously a very, very diverse city. And while you may have grown up in a predominantly white, Irish, Italian, Catholic enclave, when you were playing basketball, baseball, and football, you were going to different neighborhoods to play ball. You were going where you were the only white guy in one of the gym, or you were going to a Jewish neighborhood, or you're going to a Hispanic neighborhood to play ball. So I think when you are out there and you're meeting different cultures and people from different backgrounds, and you're competing with them and against them, it gives you, to me, it gave me a different global perspective on what the city was really like. I mean, I could bike into an all-black neighborhood, play in the Sunny Hill Basketball League, where I was the only white guy in there. I could bike into an all-black neighborhood, play ball, hang out, and then bike back home, and nothing ever happened. Then people would be, "Oh my God, how could you go in?" Well, we're going in there to play ball. I mean, times were different back then, and vice versa. I would want those kids to come into my neighborhood and play ball with us as well.
Yeah, and it's your approach to, say, diversity that has really ended up making some headlines, because you sort of made some comments about Jewish issues and that sort of thing, and all of a sudden you became the target of these like basement dwelling 4chan creatures on the internet who started making threats to you. Can you kind of explain to people who maybe aren't up to speed on the story how you became the target of all of these like white nationalist kind of people?
Yeah, it was during Speed Weeks where I was introduced to what a group is called GDL, Goyim Defense League. They hate blacks, they hate Jews, they hate gays, they hate, you name it, they hate it. They hate themselves. They show up at the Speedway and they have a projector that's projecting up on the side of the Speedway, a scrolling message about how the Jews should be exterminated from the face of the earth, how Henry Ford was right, how Hitler was right. And then they papered the neighborhoods. They dropped leaflets in plastic baggies with wooden pellets in it that was similar to acting like it was the pellets that were used in the gas chamber in Nazi Germany. And this literature professed how people who are gay, people who are black, people who are Jewish, they should be exterminated from the face of the earth. And it kind of put a shock through our community, because I mean, we didn't see that in my 17 years here. And then I did what I had to do when I discovered who these scumbags were that invaded our community. And we held a press conference. I got my intel folks to partner with the Anti-Defamation League. We showed them the videos that we had of them, and they helped us identify 15 of them. And when they identified them, then you get into their criminal histories. You discover this is a who's who of scumbags here. Who was arrested for trying to solicit sex from a 14-year-old online? Fortunately, it was an undercover sheriff's deputy. Aggravated assault with a firearm, drug charges, domestic violence charges, fraud charges. So here's a group of people that are professing wanting to wipe another human beings off the face of the earth. And these folks are nothing but bottom dwellers and scumbags, and they came in and set our community on fire.
It took us almost 10 minutes for a scumbag. Because that is the one. That, I mean,
I'm warmed up. I'm warmed up now.
All right,
You're
good. He's
more-
getting
yes,
comfortable
yes.
now.
He's just getting warmed up. Stay with us as Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood talks about what it was like to come face to face with one of those suspects, arresting people on his day off, getting his finger bitten by someone at Bike Week, and what landed him in the hospital. Welcome back. We've been sitting down with one of the top cops in Florida who makes headlines regularly.
And these folks are nothing but bottom dwellers and scumbags.
Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood took us on a walk down memory lane.
I knew where the line was because corporal punishment was part of growing up.
And coming up, he shares the lumps he has taken over the years.
I get hit from behind and thrown from the bike. The bike goes under the car. Car keeps going.
But first, why he says it was important to meet the man accused of threatening his life face to face.
They say racist things and threatening things toward your sheriff here, Mike Chitwood, and then they get arrested and they get brought extradited to Florida. And who's the first face they get to see when they come off that airplane? Take a look.
I'm Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Hope you enjoy your stay. Welcome to Florida.
Where you going, buddy? Where are you going? Where's all the big talk?
He's wearing jammy bottoms.
Wait, I know.
mean, that's not a tough guy.
The pajama pants, the hair. I mean, like the whole thing. The sheriff. I just couldn't get enough of it.
He was at a central casting. You could not have made that individual up. So what happens is after I do this and I turn the cameras on the Nazis, that's when this 4chan and all these websites light up about how my big mouth needs to be shut. I need to get a bullet put in the back of my head. They go to Google Earth and publish my address, what my house looks like, and directions on how to get there. These trolls even discover about my daughters and start sending death messages to my daughters.
That's next level.
They called in a thing that my mom and dad committed a murder-suicide, and somebody was in the house waiting for the first police officer to show up so they could kill the officer and then have the officer kill them. I mean, this went on, and then you got this clown on who obviously was preaching on this 4chan. The best way to shut Chitwood up is put a bullet in the back of his head. And remember something here. I'm going to digress for a second. This 4chan, where they get on there and profess their hate for people based on race, religion, sexual orientation, ethnicity, 4 of the last 5 active shooters have put their missives on there. So these idiots that are on there, they're loading the gun. They ain't got the guts to do it themselves, but they know somebody responding to this bullshit is going to pick up a gun and take action.
And when you learn that these guys are all just hanging out in these chats, in these groups, it didn't quiet you when they said that you needed to be shut up. What it did was you amplified. Why is that important? To let them see that, okay, you're the ones hiding in your basement. I am not. Because he wasn't the only person you greeted at the airport, and they're always stunned to see you.
They are. And for me, it's really simple. If you don't forcefully get out in front of these things, if you don't get out in front of racism, if you don't get out in front of the bigotry, if you don't get out in front of these hate groups, it's cancer. It metastasizes. So people are like, oh, just let it go. It's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal, because in these groups, they're perpetuating violence and eradicating human beings based on those factors: race, religion, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. And you got to go out and confront it. I'm not afraid of you. I got a gun. I'm going to shoot back. Let's see how much balls you got, and come and get me.
Are you ever able to not say let your guard down, but even there's a point where several months ago, you're doing a radio interview and you hear something going on about a stolen car or chase or pursuit, and you almost forget you're doing a radio interview, and the next thing, you got your phone in your pocket and it's still on, you're involved in that pursuit. Are you ever able to turn it off?
Never. Never. I've been doing this for 36 years. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm coming from Oak Hill. I'm northbound on northbound on 95, and we're doing the radio interview with the folks down in over in Tampa. And I got the phones on speaker. I got it laying on the center console, and I hear that, hey, FHP is southbound. Southbound on I-95. They're crossing 44. I'm like, holy cow! I'm right here, and I drive over the median, and I'm sitting there, and man, here comes the bad guy, and here comes 2 FHP cars. I'm like, son of a gun, we're here now. Let's go. And they had me on hold. So you just completely forget now. Now you're on hold and not thinking. You're the third car back in the chase, and FHP's radios don't communicate with ours. So I'm actually letting everybody in Volusia County know what's going on, and then they stop, stick him, and they get the son of a gun. And here turns out he's armed with a gun, and he's in a stolen car, and that was that. Just in the right place at the right time.
And he's got socks and sandals. That's just all sorts of issues. Sheriff, Sheriff, but that's not even the only time. Like we keep doing these stories, and I'm in the newsroom. Ginger is too. We hear the assignment desk, and we hear, oh yeah, something's going on in Volusia. And oh yeah, Chitwood's out. I think Chitwood's out there. And we're like, yeah, of course he's out there. He's the sheriff. They're like, no, he's the person like right in the middle of it.
Gun drawn.
I have another one of these. I got video all day of you doing stuff. So take a look. This is you come in here in like gym shorts. Let's listen for a second.
I got you. Going out. Leave your shoes. Going out. Coming up on your ear, Sheriff. Going out. Get on the ground. Do it now. Right there. Yeah, right there. Okay.
Sheriff, how do you end up in the middle of that situation?
In your gym shorts.
I was at the Tortugas game, and I left the Tortugas game, and as I hear our guys are out in Deltona with a car stop, and the guy flees. And I just knew automatically, I said, this guy that we're chasing, as we're about to get on I-4 eastbound, is getting off in Daytona Beach. There's no doubt in my mind, so let me start working my way to Bevel Road, because I know this guy's coming here. And sure enough, I'm listening to the pursuit, and it's passing this exit, passing that exit. Looks like we're going to get off on Bevel Road, and I'm sitting right there at Bevel and Clyde Morris. And sure enough, here comes my man in the Mercedes, barreling through the intersection. I make a U-turn, and fortunately for us, traffic was blocked at Nova Road. So I was just able to get right up and put my bumper, as you saw, right against him. So he wasn't going anywhere. And unfortunately, I couldn't get my gun out of the holster for some reason, but
I mean,
I was able to pull him out of the car.
Do you ever feel almost like a real life version? You know how Forrest Gump ends up in all these big things? I'm not saying you're just like him, but in the facts that you just kind of wind up in these situations where you're right in the middle of it.
I will tell you, in my time in Philadelphia, and I spent 18 years there, I was deemed a magnet.
You were also in the news a little while back getting hit by a car on your bike. So we have this.
Thumbs up.
There you go. Not your best look. I wouldn't say. but you survived it. So tell us how you're doing now that you've recovered from all of that.
Well, it's the second time that I've been run over. The first time was in 2017, September of 2017, and then on St. Patrick's Day of 2021. Get home from work. I got like an hour and a half to ride because I have to go to a meeting. And I'm outside of my neighborhood in Town West Boulevard, minding my own business. And man, I get hit from behind and thrown from the bike. The bike goes under the car. Car keeps going. Their passenger side mirror is embedded in my back. Broke my leg. Had stitches in my back. It was just wonderful. And she was texting and driving, or she was actually on Amazon shopping. And she drifted over and got me, and then we were able to get the car based on some cameras at the end of ISB.
Didn't you go the next day? Didn't you go back to work the next day?
Yeah. Yep.
I have learned so much from this podcast. I love these stories that you're telling, and how you end up in the middle of everything
I feel the same way. I learned that I thought I couldn't like him anymore. I learned I was wrong.
You've fallen in more like Sheriff Mike Chitwood. Thank you so much, man. We always have a great time with you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you for watching. You can catch the full conversation of Florida's Fourth Estate without the beats
on any podcast platform. It includes how he used a case of mistaken identity to guide his department's discussion on race, and the other fiery Florida sheriff he says he really respects. Just download it from wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can also watch Florida's Fourth Estate anytime on News 6 Plus.